Good day and welcome back to the Vitality Project. I'm Dr. Bob. I want to thank you for joining me today. Thank you. Yesterday, I invited you to imagine a life with fewer ironclad requirements. What we're doing is working together to create a practical strategy for deactivating what we've been calling the victim identity or victim role. I think of it as the victim in quotation marks or in italics, which is to say that I do believe that victimization happens, and many of us have been victimized by various traumatic experiences in our lives at the hands of people, oftentimes people that were assigned the task of loving us. And so I'm not at all diminishing the reality of victimization. But what I am challenging is our adopting that as an identity in such a way that it becomes part of who we are, that it demands that we get our way. And if we don't get that, we experience increased distress and relapse risk. And so in that sense, the victim identity or victim role is problematic. And so we're trying to find a balance here. We're talking about the alternative to operating with a victim identity being that of acceptance with grief. So it's the capacity to grieve that which has happened and to move through that and to move on rather than to stay stuck or fixated. In our exercise yesterday, what we did is we looked at how closely linked our letting go of requirements is, at least for many of us, to our depressor and to negative storylines that are connected to the depressor. I'm curious how that process of self-reflection went for you. So we're kind of unpacking requirements that go hand in hand with the victim identity and oftentimes contain negative storylines that drag us down. Now, there's another element that gets insinuated or tied into our victim identity and this companion of our victim identity, which is our inner requirements. And that other element is the complementary opposite of the depressor. And you'll recall this from previous conversations. What is it called? It's the fixer. The depressor goes hand in hand with the fixer. So for today, what I'd like to do is go back to yesterday's map, which was what will happen if I let go of all my requirements for my world map. Go back to that exercise, and you recall that I asked you to list 4 requirements that you identified. The examples I gave yesterday for anybody that wasn't here included people shouldn't tell me what to do. I should be able to control my feelings. I shouldn't have to do work that is beneath me. I shouldn't have drama in my life. And I invited you to go on from there, gave you examples of those requirements. And then I asked you further to identify what might happen if you let go of those requirements. And here we're beginning to introduce the idea of negative storylines emanating from the depressor. I gave you some examples tied back into those requirements. Well, I might get bossed around by others. I might be a basket case. I could get stuck doing only menial tasks. I'll be stuck being alone. So yesterday I asked you to go into those negative storylines to see if you could identify them and if you could name them as part of this thought experiment. Today, let's try a different angle, and it's to include or examine the flip side of the depressor. Let's see if you can also locate the fixer at work as you begin to examine a letting go of requirements. So if we go back to the example, I'll give you some examples early. Give me just a second there. If my requirement is that people shouldn't tell me what to do, and I imagine letting go of that requirement, well, it might be that I get bossed around. That would be a depressor or a negative storyline response to that. What does the fixer say? I'm not going to do what anybody tells me to do. Do you see that? The fixer comes in to try to rectify the situation. If my requirement is I should be able to control my feelings, and if I let go of that requirement, I'm afraid that I might become a basket case, then the fixer can come in, and what might it say? Well, it might say, I'm going to work even harder on holding in all of my true feelings. That would be the fixer at work. If the requirement that I have is that I shouldn't have to do work that is beneath me, and the letting go of that requirement exposes me to the possibility that I might be stuck doing only menial tasks, the fixer might come in and say, I'm going to let people know what I will do and what I won't do, and that's that. That's the fixer. And then finally, in terms of our examples, if the requirement is I shouldn't have drama in my life, and the negative storyline that attaches to my letting go of that requirement is I'll be stuck being alone, then maybe what comes in as a fixer response would be, I'm just going to suck it up when I'm with friends that rub me the wrong way, with the implication that I can't afford to confront them. I want you to try this for yourself. We're looking specifically at the fixer, and let's see what comes up for you, okay? Thanks for joining me today. I wish you well with this exercise. Between now and when I see you the next time, please stay safe, be well. Come back and join me tomorrow. Take good care.